Welcome to A Bit of Insight, where we explore how to live well, travel far, and inspire others along the way. I'm your host, Lisa Mosbey, and if you're ready to design a life you don't need a vacation from, you're in the right place. What if wellness wasn't another complicated program to follow, but a collection of simple practices that help you feel more grounded in your own body and life? Today, we're exploring what it means to stop chasing healing only when you feel overwhelmed and begin practicing wellness in small, intentional ways every day. Welcome to A Bit of Insight, where we share meaningful conversations, practical wisdom, and ideas that help you live well and navigate life with greater intention. Today's conversation brings together ancient principles, modern wellness practices, and the belief that true wellness should create independence, not dependence. My guest today combines evidence-informed wellness practices with the ancient principles of Maaat: balance, truth, harmony, and intentional living. Through herbal tea, therapeutic bodywork, breathwork, stretching, mindfulness, and community wellness programs, she helps people reconnect with themselves in practical and sustainable ways. Now, I have a smile at this phase, ancient wisdom. I'm looking forward to introducing Samari, who is 31. Well, I achieved the age of 61 this year. I've spent years studying herbalism and holistic health myself. So between the two of us, I may be the ancient one. She may be the modern expression of it, but that is exactly what makes this conversation so interesting. Samari, welcome, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for such an amazing introduction, thorough introduction, and really bringing our viewers to understand the synergy between us, this ancient and modern world that we are about to dive in deep today. I'm really excited to be here.
And I'm really excited about bringing these or exploring these modern principles. But I want to start with the name of your company, Maaat Treehouse. What inspired you to create it? And give us the definition of that. And hopefully, I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Yes, you are. Thank you very much. I love that question because it opens the door really much to my personal journey and why I started this business. Ma'at is one of the ancient Kemetic deities that, as you mentioned in that introduction, symbolizes justice, truth, balance, order, and we all know living this life in this world, this human experience, we need those things: justice, truth, order, discipline, to really just be successful and gain the reality that we want, right? So, on my own personal journey, those lessons of life started to ring really loudly for me. And then I found myself lost in my 20s, and lost in the sense of just trying to figure life out, meeting new people, having new experiences, finding my identity within all of these circumstances. And I really wanted a safe space. Tree houses, nature, I really was drawn to a lot as a kid. They're fun. I think that especially in this day and age, the architecture with tree houses has really just gone out of the roof. So it's really you can create from something from your wildest imagination with a treehouse, and then understanding the foundation, the structure, the stability that trees bring, that merging with Ma'at, those principles, I just felt like it had aligned so beautifully. And for everything that I wanted to offer, it went hand in hand. So Ma'at Treehouse was birthed to be a space, a safe space, a strong foundational space for people to restore balance, restore discipline, bring truth stronger to their life.
I have to tell you that the picture that comes to my mind is there's a restaurant in New Smyrna Beach, Florida, where I lived for a while, and it's a treehouse, and they have all these unique dining spaces. There's all these interesting rooms, and they do have trees that go throughout it. It's not actually totally built in a tree, but they do have a lot of natural trees that come up through the floors. And I had this vision when I was reading about your story, and I see each of those little rooms as a part in our brain, a part in our brain where there's truth, a part in our brain where there's wellness, where there's adventure and desire and all of those things. And it leads me to ask, what is intentional living? How does that fit into your life? And what does intentional living mean to you?
Wow, such a great question, especially as you said, those compartments in our brain and that translate into real life, business, finance, family, relationship. So, intentional living for me is understanding that each action that you take has a specific cause and effect. So, once you really understand the law of cause and effect in the universe, every action causes a reaction, then I feel like our awareness is really raised to our impact on our own lives with what we are causing and the effects which show up as circumstances, right? And I feel like many people can get focused and I don't want to say stuck, but start to spiral within understanding the effect and not center their train of thought towards what caused it. And when I started to do that for my life, I started to see how the little things, the circumstances, the effects, when I looked at the cause, it was, oh, I will forget to do this. I didn't care so much about this, or I just chose not to do something. And then there were repercussions, consequences, the effects of that I would feel. And it didn't feel good. I kept feeling like I was going in a circle, like doing well, then doing bad, and then having to get out of this cycle. And the only way to get out of that cycle was to really shift my actions. And intentional living is that shifting your actions. So even down to my hair, my jewelry, everything is supporting me showing up as my best version so that I am causing good chain reactions in my life so that the effects of all of my actions I can bear with. I'm causing great memories for myself and my family and my loved ones and my community. So that's what intentional living is for me.
Yeah. It really is us getting to decide and making the choices for ourselves with that intention versus in my book I talk about autopilot. We run on autopilot. We're supposed to finish high school, maybe go to college, get married, have a baby, do all of these things in a certain order, and we're seeing younger generations just throw that script out the window and doing it their own way. People are moving into tiny homes. People aren't going to
Yeah.
college right away. They're going on adventurous trips around the world or figuring out how to play the points game and travel for free. So there's this shift in how intention or intentional young people are wanting to live. But one of the things that kind of pops up and that I've noticed is our mind and our nervous system aren't totally aligned with that. We get a lot of resistance from parents. We get a lot of resistance from culture because you don't have a job. People, I'm a nomad. People call me a vagabond. I said, look up the definition. A vagabond doesn't have a job. I have a job. I have 3 or 4 jobs. I have a career. I just don't have a house. I travel and live in the spaces that I find to live in. So, how can someone recognize that their mind or their nervous system needs a reset? That they need to take a break and redefine what intentional living looks like for them?
That is a great question. That is such a great question because I feel like that is the space that you have to start. You have to be able to acknowledge and accept the space you're in, which might not be aligned. One half of you, one version of you can be going this way, and another version of you can be going this way. Or, like you said, not even just internally, externally, you can be set in stone on a way you're going, and then all of the outside external forces coming at you are saying, no, you're going the wrong way, go this way. So, how does our nervous system recalibrate that? And I think what it goes back to is values, because when you are someone who truly understands what you value for yourself, for your life, for your family, for your loved ones, you're able to put up stronger guardrails around the things that will pull you away from your values. So if I say I know I value experience and I value community, what does that look like for me? Is it community with, like, just with my family, making sure I'm in touch with my family members, whether they're in this state or not, the next or another state? Is it my neighbors in my building or in my, in my vicinity, making sure that I know who they are? When you start to really understand within yourself what you value, you're going to make sure you do those things to keep that energy, to keep that environment, because that's what's sustaining you. It's like it aligns with your purpose and what you're here for and the service that we do to give back. So I feel like there are tugs and pulls with many people because our values are not locked in. One day we can value being a morning person and waking up early and sweeping my house when I wake up and making sure there's no dishes in the sink. And then 2 weeks later or the next month, all those values went out the window and my house has just become a pigsty. Like, what tornado just came through here? And there's one version of a person that continues the day, looks around their house and says, okay, I'm just going to continue because I have to go to work. I have to do this. But there's another version of that person that says, hold on, let me stop. Things are not in order. This is becoming chaotic. This is not me. Let me turn off my phone. Today's cleanup day. I'm not doing anything until my house is clean because I have to this is not me. I'm not where I'm supposed to be. So and that's it on the minute level, on the micro level. And I think that if we take it on a broader scale, there's many versions of that, and how elders or ancient principles say, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So I hold that deeply with me, and that allows me personally to be able to lock in and at least become aware. And it's not to say that you're never going to stray or you're always going to be on and you're not going to have off days, but it's about raising your awareness to know, hey, this is taking me too far out and I'm coming back in. And for me, real quick, to sum it up, I think we've all been in school, in grade school, and it's like, we know we have that test coming up and we have those friends that don't care about the test. Internally, we all have been that child that's like, huh, do I care about my test or do I not care about my test? I know my friends don't care, but I care. Okay, so I'm not going to just play at lunch. I'm going to sit down, open my book and study. It's that shift within yourself that you have to know, okay, I'm not just going to go where people want me to go. I'm going to do what's best for myself. And that's where that recalibration between the mind and the nervous system, I feel, lives. And that's where that process is able to start, because the body is naturally going to do that. But how are we supporting our body to do that?
Yeah, so many people are disconnected from their bodies, if you will, not where you can see it, but we're in our head or we're in our body. They work synergistically together, but so many times we see this disconnect, and that's what affects our nervous system. So what helps somebody to start listening to their body again? Do you have like maybe 2 or 3 grounding techniques that we could share with folks that help to realign your mind and your body so that you're functioning and you're calming and soothing your nervous system?
Yes, definitely. These are the first 2 practices that we promote within Maaat Treehouse. The first one is stopping everything, sitting or standing with your feet planted and taking 9 deep breaths. When you're taking these deep breaths, when you inhale, we lift our chin up to the sky, opening up our chest and expanding and aligning our body with that expansion within our body that is naturally doing. And then when we exhale, we bring our chin down to our chest to support that natural contraction that the body is doing. And you see, if you do that 9 times, one, you're increasing the amount of oxygen within your body, just supporting that internal open and closing. You're lifting up your chin, opening up your nasal passageway to receive more oxygen. And you will see that naturally you're overriding your system at that point. Oxygen and your parasympathetic system are just taking over. By the time you get to the fourth breath of that, you will be in a more relaxed, calmer state so that you can meet your mind where it needs to be. Now, our second practice that we promote is called body scans. So, same thing, standing or sitting, becoming present with yourself, taking your own couple breaths so that you know, okay, I'm about to attune myself and scan to check my internal temperature, is what we like to call that. This also technically utilizes the practice of Reiki on yourself because you're utilizing your own hand to sense your energetic field. So you start at the top of your body and you just are scanning through your body, and your body will naturally sense energy. So, like right here, it's starting to feel a little bit heavier and my hand is slowing down. And that we might not know what it is, but it's telling us, hey, my face, I'm talking right now, so my face muscles are activated. And it's just a way to, one, align your mind with, hey, I'm clearing out my energy, like a shower, like an energetic shower. And then you're able to raise your own awareness to where energy might be stuck and cleanse that out for yourself. So whether you're a beginner with Reiki and understanding your own energetic field, or an advanced individual with Reiki or understanding your own energetic field, that practice, body scans, has definitely been tested and proven to shock many individuals on how their level of awareness to their own bodily sensations with energy, um, reveal itself. Because sometimes, like anxiety within the body, all of that in the energy, in the business of energy, in the science with energy, quantum field, we say it's just trapped energy. We say that that's energy that's blocked, that's not flowing. So when you raise your awareness to that, and then it might be your environment, you're looking around, what is this? There's multiple things that go into play, but we know that when you still yourself, when you slow down your breath and you're intentional with your breath, and you do your best to check your internal temperature, become aware, are my palms sweaty? Is my knee hurting? Is you understand all these things? And we know, as you're listening to this, the viewers, Miss Lisa, as you're listening, I'm sure we all had that feeling. We're sitting at the desk too long, our back starts to feel something, just an ache, or it's like, let me breathe this through because I'm having a blockage right now and it's not allowing me to show up at my highest.
Yeah, sometimes our mind, our thoughts can push us through something. We see that with professional athletes, like they can play with a broken or a twisted ankle or having the flu. We do that same thing. We push through. We go to work even when we're not feeling optimal, when our brain's not functioning. And what the word that comes to mind often when I listen to you or when we chat is everything is with intention. And we don't mean that in a negative sense or like that it's something that we have to force. Intention comes with a serenity, a calmness, a peace when you can sit with your own space, your own energy. And even just scanning your body with your hand, it's intentional to actually focus. Like, where's that hand at? I'm at my eyes, and I was noticing my cheeks, and my cheeks were tight. And then it's like, ooh, I've been talking a lot these last few days, and I know sometimes I need to have some honey tea because my throat gets sore because I talk for a living. So being aware of, I love how you bring awareness and attention to what's going on with our systems, and then intention with how we act and respond to that. And I know some of the things that you use, some of the tools are herbal teas, therapeutic body work, breath work, stretching, and mindfulness. How do you decide what a person might need?
Well, honestly, the way I've designed my art treehouse, all those things, I don't know if this is selfish to say, but we all need those things.
We
Like
do. We
everybody
totally
needs those
do.
things. I don't really, I get kind of biased a little bit within the wellness because I'm like, how do you not need to stretch? How do you not need this? And it is interesting when I connect with those types of individuals who do not prioritize self care over their other responsibilities. And, you know, I like to meet people where they're at. And that's why breath is our main entry point. So any without any obligation, breath is a space that I can meet people where they're at. The other products that we have, movement, herbal teas, hands on body restoration, those services are entry points for individuals who definitely are more aware and already possibly living an intentional life. They understand the value of herbal medicine and the benefits that they bring to the body when you're taking them consistently. They understand the benefits of pouring into yourself and taking a moment to invest in yourself, to receive hands-on restoration, that you can massage your own shoulder, but it's different when somebody else is massaging your shoulder. So a lot of our community workshops, that is our main entry point, where we're meeting, as you said, how do we know where people are at? And people don't even know what they need, but everybody needs to breathe, and everybody needs a safe space to just share what's on their mind. So Maaat Treehouse is definitely in the business of, one, really cultivating those safe spaces for that inner reflection, those very personal, um, transformational dialogues that take a lot of courage. So that journey has been really, really revealing of the truth and the weight of this work. So
One of the things that we're in total agreement on, and I've heard you repeat it multiple times, and you share that message out in social media, and that is that you say, when we reveal wellness, it creates independence, not dependence. Why is that distinction so important to you?
yeah, it really is. And thank you for bringing that up, because nobody can do it. Has been revealed to me on my own personal journey, and it still
Me
is.
too.
I'm
Mhm.
31. I Nobody can do the work for you. You have to do the work yourself. So I'm in the business of being the sea. There's an abundance of water here. Come play, come have fun. But I'm not here like, okay, it gets touchy working with people and how long people need the assistance for, and I just don't feel like individual wellness journeys should feel like you need someone else. The attachment be be motivated, the attachment to be restored within all the value. Like, there's a time window that I feel like people need to grasp it for themselves and do the work themselves. And that was a tough question for me to answer. I'm not gonna lie, Miss Lisa, because I see it, and especially as I'm developing my business, that's something that I'm very intentional with being mindful of. I I don't want people to feel like, hey, I can continue my bad habits, and the wellness industry, the people who are in wellness are always going to be there to catch me when I fall. I don't think that that is the route that is going to make humanity a stronger place. I
I
think that will
agree.
just take us in circles. So I think
Yeah.
that it's about giving people the tools to be confident and to know that they have the ability to do this themselves, which means if you did it once, you could do it again. Like we mentioned earlier, circumstances come and go. Every day is not going to be a good day. Every day is not going to be a bad day. But we know that we are realistic and we know that they will come. So how can we prepare ourselves to show up as our best selves no matter what circumstance? So that's the business that I'm in. And
Yeah.
I feel like that is what separates the independent from the dependent version of the wellness.
I so wanted to jump in and help you with that because it was like, it's the tools. It's the tools,
I'm
Samari.
glad
It's
I
the
got
tools.
to
We
it.
give people the
Yes.
tools. You got there. You did get there. I was like, oh, just hold her up. It's hold her up. Yeah, it's the tools
Yes.
because that's what separates it. It really, truly does. It's the independence versus dependence. When we become dependent on other people for massage therapy, acupuncture, chiropractic, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with all of those. I do all of those. I have a massage therapy appointment on Sunday. I have been seeing a chiropractor. Every city I go to, I find a new chiropractor. I get a referral from the last place that I was at. So it's not that I don't use those tools, but I also know how to work on my own nervous system. Something you had said earlier was we tune into the parasympathetic nervous system. And one of the things that I've learned to do is use a sleep mask,
Yes.
not just for sleep. If anybody has ever experienced sadness or grief, you'll notice that people will go to their head. You'll see it on TV, you'll see it in shows. People will go to their head. But when you put your hands over your eyes, you actually activate your parasympathetic nervous system just that quickly, just by putting your hand in your hands and breathing and taking some deep breaths. And I love how you guys approach opening and breathing and bringing it in. Like it's very intentional. And again, these things activate our parasympathetic nervous system so we can calm our own self down. And so it's just the tools. And that's what creates that independence, and gives us confidence that we can take care of ourselves. We don't have to rely. Now, we're not talking about major diseases and things, but we know that most diseases stem from an emotional component or stress component. And if we learn to manage our emotions and our stress by using these simple techniques, we can push off long-term chronic illnesses to the future and hopefully to the distant future or to non-existence.
Yeah.
And I know you serve individuals, seniors, youth, community groups. What
Yes.
do these all have in common? And how are they different? And what have you learned through working with the different generations? It's kind of a multi-part. The question was formulating as I was asking it. So you work with different groups in your community events. What have you learned about different generations through that process?
Great question. The biggest thing I've learned throughout working with intergenerational is that we are all human. It has
Bottom line.
definitely grounded me in that because we're all humans trying to figure it out. And back to the tools, we're in 2026, and I'm realizing that these tools, yes, they've always been here, but it's like an archaeologist. It's always been there. You just found it. You just dug it up. You didn't really find it's just now being revealed, you know? And I feel the same thing about wellness tools and the epidemic of depression and anxiety and mental illnesses that has really been on a rise within America, North America specifically. I've seen it within my life drastically, so I can only imagine the the way the realities look now are not the way they looked before. And even though these problems may have been there before, they weren't as right in our face. And I think that because they're right in our face, we have a duty to do something about it. So, working with the youth, working with seniors, working with individuals of all ages has definitely, every time we do a workshop, it's so fulfilling to see how aware people are becoming and that it doesn't have an age. It's choice because I work with 9-year olds that are able to understand or not understand, all the way to 80-year olds that are able to understand or not understand. So I think that I'm in a space of great understanding of just everyone, like, just all different walks of life. And it fills me with gratitude to know that Maaat Treehouse is able to, one, yes, they say a business have a demographic. However, we are able to filter out into all across the board and touch so many, generations all at once, because a young person should have emotional regulation and can be emotionally regulated, as well as adult of any age. It's a human thing that I feel like keeps the world healthy. So I would say that's the biggest takeaway from working intergenerationally.
Yeah. I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah.
It's been fun. And I hear a little bit of New York in the background. We hear the sirens going, and yeah, I know you're in the midst of excitement. Um, when someone leaves one of your events, what do you hope they leave with?
Courage. Courage to be in the dark with
Yeah.
themselves. Just like you said, so many people are so afraid of the
Yeah.
dark with themselves that they won't even do that. And little do you know, it was just revealed today that this activates your parasympathetic system. You're actually doing yourself the best thing you can do by
Yeah.
going into the darkness, within yourself, so that you can really get clear. And that takes courage. I'm seeing that. Um, it takes courage, it takes grace for self. And the biggest takeaway that, when people leave a Maaat Treehouse workshop, courage and inner determination and a strengthened inner awareness to what they can and cannot do for themselves.
Yeah. All right, folks, we're coming to the end. I love seeing a younger generation take these timeless principles and make them practical, approachable, and relevant for the world we're living in today. Perhaps I represent the ancient version and Samari represents the modern version, but the wisdom underneath it all remains the same. Our bodies need rest. Our minds need moments of stillness. Our nervous systems need support. And healing is not something we should chase only after life has pushed us beyond our limits. It's something that we practice. And I encourage you to get out and practice. And if you need support to do that, definitely reach out to Samari. And Samari, where would people find you? How would they get in touch with you today?
Yeah, definitely. You can find us everything Maaat Treehouse, Maaat Treehouse, website, Instagram, all social media platforms, Maaat Treehouse. And please reach out to us. We're looking forward to working with you guys.
My insight from today's conversation is that true wellness does not make us more dependent on another person. It gives us knowledge, awareness, and confidence to participate in our own well being. Samari, thank you so much for carrying ancient wisdom forward in such a modern and meaningful way, and for sharing the heart behind Maaat Treehouse with us today. Folks, again, to learn more about Samari and her offerings, visit maattreehouse.com. And you can again follow her on all the socials. We'll have that information in the notes for this episode. And to everyone listening, take a moment today to reset your mind, ground your body, and reconnect with yourself. Until next time, live well, travel far, and keep gathering the light that help you create a truly beneficial life, a life that you love. And we'll see you all in the next episode. Thanks for joining me on A Bit of Insight. To get more involved with our wellness community, grab a copy of my book, Live Well, Travel Far, or to explore our travel offerings, visit the website at insightcenterforwellness.com. And if today's episode gave you something to think about, leave a review and please share it with a friend. This is Lisa Mosbey reminding you to live well, travel far, and always follow your insight.